Have you ever swallowed a response you desperately wanted to give, just to keep the peace? You stay quiet, force a smile, and watch as cold, manipulative people get handed the exact respect you are constantly denied. This usually happens because of a specific social conditioning. We're taught that if we avoid conflict, prioritize others, and lead with empathy, the world will return that kindness with respect. But kindness without discernment often creates the opposite effect. When you remove all friction from your social interactions, your peers stop perceiving you as a person with individual needs and start perceiving you as a resource to be used. In this context, a forced smile during a moment of disrespect acts as a signal. It tells the observer's brain that your personal territory is unguarded. Where there is no resistance, the mind naturally assumes it has permission to intrude. When you habitually say yes while meaning no, you are prioritizing the comfort of others over your own integrity. This pattern of emotional self-abandonment creates a cycle of validation dependency, where you require the approval of the very people who are ignoring you just to feel secure. By confusing peace with passivity, you've essentially turned yourself into prey. In a competitive social environment, kindness without a boundary functions like bait in an ocean of sharks. Correcting this dynamic requires looking at a strategy recorded 500 years ago by Machiavelli. He famously argued that when you cannot be both, it is safer to be feared than loved. In modern psychology, this brand of fear describes the specific moment a human mind registers an uncrossable boundary. It is the realization that a person possesses the strength to say no and the self-possession to stand by it. Building that boundary starts with interrupting your automatic reflexes.
When someone challenges you, your current loop triggers an immediate explanation output to justify your position. This submissive reflex asks the other person for permission to have your opinion, effectively transferring all authority directly to them. Machiavelli noted that love is often conditional. It lasts as long as you are useful to someone else's interests. If your value is based entirely on how much you accommodate others, that value evaporates the second you stop satisfying them. You generate respect by ending this liant gaze, a way of existing that doesn't look to the room for a thumbs up before speaking. This is the foundation of latent power. It is authority that is felt even when you aren't actively doing anything to assert it. Consider an electric fence. It doesn't move or shout, but it commands absolute respect because it quietly hums with a refusal to be touched. You apply this by becoming the fence. It means holding your posture, delivering a no without following it with a because, and having the strength to walk away from a toxic conversation without a single word of justification. You can also weaponize silence strategically. When someone belittles you or uses a passive-aggressive tone, stop. Look them directly in the eyes and hold that gaze for 3 full seconds without speaking. This silence creates a vacuum. Most people are desperate to fill social silences, but by withholding your reaction, you force the other person to sit with the weight of their own behavior. You disrupt their rhythm and seize control of the room's energy. True power is often found in what you choose not to display. By refusing to engage in the manipulator's script, you win the dynamic through total self-possession. When you start holding these boundaries, you will face immediate pushback. Because you are no longer easily controlled, people will likely begin to label you as cold, arrogant, or difficult. This reaction is actually proof of your success. It indicates that the people who used to feed off your passivity are now destabilized. They are struggling to adjust to a version of you they can't exploit, and this leads to a liberating purge. You may lose certain relationships, but you are specifically shedding the people who are only there because you are easy to manipulate. Social value is often tied to accessibility. When you stop begging for crumbs of validation and make your time and your kindness something that must be earned, the world has no choice but to adjust its level of respect. Kindness without discernment is a liability. It needs a sword and a shield to survive. Head to the comments and tell me, where in your life are you building your wall today? Claim your space. Hit the subscribe button and rewire your mind.